So the question speaks to what is the direction of down? My name is Brian Lane. I'm a professor of physics at Jacksonville University. I got my PhD in condensed matter physics from the University of Florida, and I got my Bachelor of Science in Physics from Jacksonville University. So Let's Code Physics is a YouTube channel that teaches its viewers how to code physics simulations. So in the old days, when you took a physics class, you would have either been solving problems or doing a lab experiment, but today we also have you run simulations on a computer as kind of a third way of doing physics. And so Let's Code Physics was developed as a way to supplement that kind of physics instruction because there wasn't a lot of multimedia materials devoted to that topic. And so it, for the last several years, has been filling that void and growing in popularity among physics educators. So the fantasy name generator was my first attempt at something called machine learning. The idea of machine learning is that you want the computer to be able to do something, in this case produce nice epic sounding fantasy names, but you don't know how to tell the computer how to do that. You want the computer to learn how to do it. And so the way I set up this particular code was to feed the computer a list of names. So I fed it the top 1,000 baby names in the United States from the previous year. And the code read in the patterns of letters that were used. So for example, if the letter A is often followed by the letter B, it knew to give that combination a higher weighting. The letter Q is very rarely followed by the letter Z, so it doesn't give that a very high weighting. So when it generates these names, it's picking a random letter and then asking what letter should likely come next and what letter should likely come after that and come after that. And then once it goes through enough letters, it produces a name. It works well most of the time. Some of them are still unpronounceable, but still a good number of them are pronounceable. One of the nice features of that code is that you can give the computer feedback. And you can say, this name is a good combination of letters. And so it will take that and it will kind of reinforce itself to produce that type of combination more often. Or if you say, this is not a good combination, this is not pronounceable, it will go back and say, okay, I'm not going to produce that combination as often. So it eventually learns your preferences for the names that it generates. So this question is near and dear to my heart because when I was probably 5 years old, my father took me to the Sherwin-Williams paint store, where of course their logo is paint, descending upon the earth. And I thought that's what they were literally trying to do at that store, and I wondered why we were at this terrible place that was trying to cover the earth in paint. I since learned it's not really that way. But yeah, so the question speaks to what is the direction of down? So when I drop something and it falls down, from our perspective it falls down, it falls that way. But down is not really down. Down is toward the center of the earth. So when there's water on the earth and it's being pulled down, that means it's being pulled inward toward the center. It's not being pulled in some universal down direction, because we would think of this way as down, but the other side of the earth thinks of this way as down, which is our up. So that's why it doesn't fall down, because it is falling down. So that question goes to the assumption of what are we made of? Yes, we're made of atoms that are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons, but those atoms are held together by bonds, which are these invisible forces that hold them together. You can think of those as being like springs. So a spring doesn't like to be pulled too far apart, it doesn't like to be pushed too far. So when you try to walk through a wall, you're asking the wall's springs to just let go, which they're not going to do. And so it's not the atoms that you have a problem with, it's the springs in between them that you have a problem with.